I'm Nate, and welcome to Nate on Guitar. Talking about the key of E. One of the things I found really useful over the years of playing guitar is how can I play as many chords as possible in whatever key that I'm playing in with the minimal amount of movement. So like the least amount of my hand moving up and down the neck. You know, how many chords can I reach within a small area on the fretboard? And so along these lines, I'm going to talk about the key of E and how you can play a whole bunch of chords without moving very far, and they actually sound really good. So let's get started. All right, the root shape that we're going to be starting with is this E chord. If it doesn't look familiar, it's because it's just a variation of this E major chord that you're probably familiar with. What I'm doing is these two notes that are part of that E chord, I'm barring them with my index finger and I'm playing the 4th fret of the G string with my pinky. I've removed that major 3rd note and slid it up basically. So you've got another B note in there. This is our root chord. These all 6 chords that I'm going to play down here are all within the first 4 frets, and they all only involve holding notes on the 2nd and 4th frets. So here, check it out. E major, root chord, our 1 chord. Moving up to our minor 2nd chord, which is an F sharp minor. What I'm going to do, my thumb is going to grab the 2nd fret of the low E string. Ring finger is going to play the 4th fret of the A string. My index finger is going to continue the note that it was barring, 2nd fret of the D. Pinky is going to stay on that 4th fret of the G string. This is just one version of an F sharp you can do here. You can also, if you like the voicing better, switch the strings that your index finger and your pinky are on. That's just another option, but that's less of what this video is about. This is I'll do another video with other versions of chords later. So F sharp, G sharp, where this note here, the 4th fret of the low E, a G sharp, that's the 3rd note of the E major scale. So far we've done the root note, our minor 2nd, our 3rd note. If you'll notice, these fingers staying consistent. They haven't moved from the last chord, and they're not going to move for the next one either, which is our A chord. We're playing the open A string as our root note, and these 2 fingers staying right where they were. 2nd fret of the D, 4th fret of the G. Muting the low E string with the thumb. This is our 4th chord of playing an E. Now we're going to play our 5 chord, which is a B, which is basically just a power chord shape, root, 5th, octave. I'm muting the low E with my thumb right now. You don't have to do it that way. That depends on what's more comfortable for you. You can mute the low E string with the tip of your index finger instead. You're going to let that high B and E ring out. For now, I'm going to keep my thumb there because it sets me up a little bit easier for the next chord, which is my 6th chord, my relative minor C sharp minor chord. My thumb is no longer grabbing this low string like it was on the F sharp minor. I'm simply muting the low E string and then playing this C sharp note on the 4th fret of the A string. Guess what? These 2 fingers still in place. 2nd fret, 4th fret. So that walks you through the 6 really close to clustered together chords in the key of E. You don't have to move around. You could play whole chord progressions here. Very minimal movement needed to play these 6 chords. Root, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. You'll find, like with everything that I talk about, there's a lot of different variations and versions of these chords that sound great, and I will talk about them in another video. This is just to get you started playing chords in this particular position. All right, so that's the first shape, set of shapes I want to show you. Let's move up the neck to the 7th and 9th fret area-ish, where we're gonna explore another set of commonly used chords in the key of E that you don't have to move your fingers a lot to play some really interesting sounding things. So let's take a look. So our root chord up here is going to be an E that we play on the 7th and 9th frets. It's a power chord shape, and we're going to let all 6 strings ring out from the low E to the high E. And we're going to go in the same order we did before, ascending. From our E, we're going to go to an F sharp. We're going to raise this bass note by 2 frets to this shape right here. Our ring finger's playing an F sharp on the 9th fret of the A. Our thumb is going to be muting the low E string. E, F sharp. To play our 3rd chord, we are going to slide. This is the only exception to the rule that I'm going to make here of no sliding. So we can't really get to the 3rd note of the scale in the bass note without sliding a little bit. So what it is the same shape as the F sharp minor. All 3 notes that you're holding are going to slide up 2 frets. So 11th fret on the A string, 9th fret on the D, 11th on the G. Mute the low E with a thumb. Now to play our 4th chord, we are going to slide back to the 7th on the D, 9th on the G. Let that open A ring out. So far we've done E, F sharp, G sharp, and A. Now, so we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4 in the scale. Now let's go to the 5th note of the scale, which is a B. And this is the most straightforward, simplistic way to play a B. It's not a full B. It doesn't have a, I don't know how to describe it other than some people would call it cheating. I don't call it cheating. It's a quick and easy way if you're playing chord changes quickly. It's a quick way to play a B. There's a million variations, and I can talk about that in another video. So for now, to play it this way, it's simply moving the bass note from our E root chord we started with to the low E. 7th fret of the low E string is a B note, and we're going to mute the A string with the underside of that index finger. That's going to be our B chord. To play our 6th chord, we are going to play this C sharp minor here. All the notes are going to be on the 9th fret. 9th fret of the low E, mute the A string, and then these 2 fingers, your ring and pinky, are going to stay in the same spot that they were for your E chord and your B chord. And as a bonus, since we can reach it easier here than we could down in the first set of chords I showed you, we can play the major 7 in the bass note. So we can actually, instead of playing 6 different chords, we can run through all 7 notes, bass notes that are in the E major scale. And to do that, to play that major 7 bass note that's a D sharp note. We're going to take our E major chord that we started with, and we are going to drop the lowest note that we're holding and the highest note that we're holding down by a half step or 1 fret. And we're going to keep that ring finger in place. Our middle finger is going to play on the G string, 1 fret below where the pinky was at. So if I descend, I can play all the notes of the E major scale in chord form. Check it out. There's our 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or ascending. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, back to the root. And I'll I'll say it for a third time. These are not the only versions of chords that I use in E or that you should use in E. These are just a gateway. There's a million different voicings and like different fingerings you could use to kind of vary up each chord, give it some more flavor. And I will talk about this in another video, and I'll probably talk about it in every video in some way. Every chord you know just takes a little bit of experimentation, moving your fingers around just a little bit to find some more interesting versions of it. So anyway, I hope this quick look into the key of E was helpful, and hopefully I got something out of it, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.